Welcome back to another episode of Tackle Tuesday here on Joe Bob's Bass. Thank you all for tuning in once again. We are in full-blown ice fishing mode here in Minnesota now. Finally, last year it was horrible ice. If you're from Minnesota and you like ice fishing, you already know that. But really only got out like a couple days ice fishing last year. Like 3, I think. It was really bad. It was hard to find any quality ice. This year, we are on a completely different trajectory, which is great. It was cold at the end of November. It's been cold. We haven't really had any snow, so that ice is just getting better. It's good ice for the most part. Of course, always be safe when you're going out there. But anyways, today, guys, last week we talked about the Clam Silky, my absolute favorite. I guess you could call it like a jig trailer for ice fishing. Killed him again on it this weekend. Absolutely limited out. It was fantastic. Had a nice little fish fry on some great eater size 8 to 10 inch crappies. And we're going to kind of give a little bit of a rig rundown this week of my little bucket here. I keep ice fishing very simple. All right, and so I'm just going to kind of go through a couple rods that I bring with me, why I bring them with me, what I have tied onto each one, the line that I use, and just some other kind of necessary ice fishing things, tackle, accessories to bring with you to make sure you have a good time, whether you're on the ice for 2 hours or if you're on the ice for 2 days, right? So first off, let's just start with a tip up here. I always bring one tip up with me at least. This is just your Frabill insulated hole cover, right? So a little bit more expensive, a little more sophisticated than just your typical kind of inline tip-up system. But especially if it's cold out or if it's windy or whatever, if there's a lot of snow, these are great to keep that hole covered so you don't have to worry about it freezing up, right? It's got this nice little flap here so you can kind of keep a little tackle in here, whatever, a couple jigs, couple weights, whatever that might be. A plastic flag on here, which I'm not a huge fan of. It's just not super tall. You take it out of this little guy here, and you can put this. Oops, you can put that up there, and it does the trick. But it doesn't I don't know. Some of the other flags I like a little bit better. Okay. Other than that, it's just your simple tip-up reel that I've got some 50-pound braid on there, and then I've got, you can see there, kind of a 2-hook system, which is kind of all we can do in Minnesota. When you're throwing big shiners or big, huge sucker minnows on there for pike, maybe walleye, I like having that 2-hook, one in the front, one in the back. Way increases your hookup ratio rather than just, one big circle hook in the back or even just one treble hook, okay? This one, this was like $8 from Fleet Farm. I don't even remember what brand it is, but it's got these little flashers on there too and a bead. So it gives it a little bit more kind of presentation in the water, a little bit more kind of flash and frill to it, right? So pretty simple though. I just keep that thing rigged up if I'm planning to do any tip-ups and I get a couple suckers or shiners or anything like that. We throw those on there and piece of cake, okay? I like this thing too. This is just a little high-tech fishing, half, kind of 3/4 bucket cover seat, okay? This is great, especially if I'm hole hopping, just trying to find those fish, especially in the later time of the year when that ice is still good, but the sun is out and it's warm. Maybe you're even out there in a t-shirt. Those are the absolute best days, in my opinion. Come like early March, and you're just hole hopping. You can bring your bucket around, sit on it. Makes an awesome little addition, okay? And then just going through here, we're going to start with, this is kind of my main. This is a terrific budget starter, really all you need if you're pan fishing for ice fishing, okay? This is a Shakespeare Ugly Stick with just this is the combo, right? I think retail, it's $35. Almost every single time I'm at Fleet Farm, it's on sale for $25, okay? And it's great. This is a light, I believe. Let me double check that. Oh, psh. So this says it's a medium heavy. I would disagree with that. This, for crappies and all that, it's probably a little bit more than you need. They do have lights. They have ultralights versions of this exact same thing. But this is a 30-inch medium heavy. And I would say it's probably more like a medium, maybe even a medium light is what it feels like. A lot of ice rods you'll see have these kind of different tips, right? Not a graphite rod all the way through, but they kind of mend into this fiberglass, I would say probably, more elastic, more sensitive tip, which is great. And even though this says medium heavy, this thing is great for fishing crappies and panfish and all that stuff, okay? And this is what I was absolutely killing them on this last weekend, guys. This is just a little 16th ounce tungsten jig. It's copper colored. You can see some of that paint. It's not actually copper, obviously, because that's just paint. It's starting to chip off on there a little bit. And then I had a black silky on there. I had a white one on. That's the one I showed you guys in the video last week. That was my last white one. That caught me about 10 fish. And then it was looking real mangled. So I decided, it's been 100 fish or so on that silky. Let's try a different one. So I threw on the black one, and I thought, this is a big difference, white to black. Didn't really matter. Still caught them just as much. Did tip this with a wax worm when the bite got slow just one time. Didn't have a bite for about 10 minutes or so. Put a waxy on there. Got bit right away. Did also put on these little, let's see here. Oh, boy, I don't know if I can find them. So these are the Scuddy XLs from Clam as well, okay? Maki Plastics, not sure exactly what that is, but you can see all the kind of different patterns and designs they've got on there. This one is just kind of like a little waxworm, but like with some little legs on it, little shrimpy kind of looking thing. And that worked. And I did that with the black, so I had black and then this bright yellow chartreusey color. And again, caught a couple fish on that as well. But most of the time I was just fishing the silky straight up by itself. And that was kind of the trick of the last video. So go watch that one. But anyways, then, again, like I said, I keep ice fishing really cheap, okay? And I want to make this clear. I am in no way docking ice fishing. You can go, and I spend, you guys see all these rods here. You see all these swim baits behind me. I can spend a good amount of money on open water fishing because I do it a lot more than ice fishing. I still go ice fishing a fair amount, but I'm just definitely not as keen to it. It's definitely, open water fishing is by far my favorite, so I keep it cheap, right? You can spend $100 on a nice custom ice rod and a super nice reel and all that. I think you can spend 20 or 30 bucks on a little combo like this here and do just fine, especially if you're just pan fishing, okay? So this is the 13 Fishing Ambition 26-inch light. So again, another great little crappie rod, sunfish rod, perch rod, okay? This one, I was also catching them on this weekend. This is a little Ratso. I don't remember the company name, but that's what it looks like. Tiny little jig. I think this is a 32nd ounce jig head. And then it comes with that little tiny kind of tail, kind of a wax worm with a tail, plastic on there. And just that again, guys, no bobber, no extra weight, nothing. We were fishing in 15 feet of water. That thing would get down there just fine. Take a little bit of time because it's pretty light, right? But it takes time, gets down there. These things get in a 2-pack for like $3. Again, keeping it cheap, keeping it simple, okay? Then we've got this is my big heavy duty rod, right? If I'm jigging big spoons, if I'm really trying to catch walleye, if I'm trying to catch pike, this is what I'm going with, okay? This is a medium heavy 32-inch Berkley lightning rod, okay? They make open water stuff. They make ice fishing stuff. No problem, no difference really to me. Bigger reel, right? This is still probably only a 500 size, maybe 1,000 size. And I broke this one off, as you can see, this weekend, so it's kind of all mangled right now. But this is absolutely a medium heavy. This is a much stiffer, longer rod. Like I said, that Berkley or that Shakespeare combo there, that lightning rod, or that, ugly stick, sorry, is... it says medium heavy. I would not say this is a medium heavy. This thing is much stiffer. That's got a lot of backbone to it. Definitely going to help you with those bigger fish. And again, this thing was like 30 bucks, right? Nice cork handle. You can put a different reel on here if you want. I'm sure the rod by itself is probably like 20 bucks, right? So check that out if you're wanting something bigger. And then just kind of comparing that. This thing is just, that tip is so much lighter. The rod, it's got a good backbone to it. So I can see why maybe they're calling it medium heavy. But yeah, it's so much more bendy, especially on that tip, which is great for those panfish, okay? And then last but not least, we've got a little ultralight. This is my bobber setup. If, especially in Minnesota, you can have 2 lines in the water. So if it's a tip-up and a jigging rod, that's all you can have. You don't get 2 lines and a tip-up, making that clear. A lot of people don't know that. And so if I'm doing that, I'll throw this one on just a little rod holder right next to a hole, bobber setup, little tiny jig head on here, and a minnow. Let that thing sit, let that minnow swim around, and you'll get bit for sure, okay? Now, this is a pink rod. This is the Dave Jens Lady Ice Buster 24-inch ultralight, okay? Again, ultralight, light, that's really all you need for those panfish. So keep it cheap, keep it simple, and that's really all that one is for, okay? Couple more things here that I just want to go through real quick. I know this one's getting a little longer than most of my videos. Little tiny ice jig box, right? This thing was like 10 or 12 bucks from Fleet Farm as well. Clam, it's got these nice snapping, water sealed O-rings around the side so your lures aren't getting rusty or anything like that. I've got a bunch of spoons and little jigs on this side, and then it's got another side, and I've got all my little jig heads over there. Pretty simple, but super great. This thing is easily, if I'm just even in my vest, can throw that thing in my pocket. If I'm in my bibs, my jacket, whatever, you don't even notice this thing there, which is awesome. And most of the time when I'm ice fishing, I don't need more than this. I really don't. If I can grab 1 or 2 rods, let's say the bucket, 2 rods, and the tip up, and this, that's it. You're packing light. You're having a great time, okay? Last but not least, some bobbers or whatever. Some bobbers or whatever are nice, but last but not least, an aerator, okay? This is one that Cast King sent me over on TikTok. I love this. It's not, most people know kind of the angle coolers for their aerating needs, I would say. They're insulated coolers, bait coolers. They've got kind of a removable but built-in aerator system, right? Those are all battery run. What I love about this one is that it is rechargeable, and it'll last you 2 days out on the ice without having to charge it, and it pumps out the aeration. So if you got a second bucket full of minnows, and that's all you got, that's all you need, right? Got a little cooler, perfect, whatever, right? But this thing is great. It's like 40 bucks, and it's rechargeable. That's the big thing. D batteries are expensive. I hate going out there. Sure, they may last a little longer. You might get a couple weeks out of those before you have to replace them, but then you got to go buy more batteries, right? Every time I'm done, I come in for the night, I plug this in, and it's ready to go the next day. Easy, simple, reusable, great, okay? And that's pretty much it, guys. Other than that, I've got a couple little odds and ends in here, just some little bobbers. Some of these slip bobbers are great. And, I get the big ones just because you can cut them down, right? You can cut them down to 1 inch, and then you've got a little tiny bobber. They're just foam. They're cheap as heck. $2, and you get a pack of these. And they come in different sizes, but I just get the big ones because then you can just cut them down, like I said. And other than that, I've got some silkies in here, some white ones, some black ones, some of those Maki heads, those jig trailers. And that's pretty much it, guys. Other than that, all you need to do is cut a hole, whether that's a little hand auger. Find one on Facebook for 20 bucks. You can get an old gas one like I've got for 50 bucks, or you can spend a couple hundred and get one of the nice battery ones, or even better, the drill bit. The K drills are way better than the Ion augers, or I think Milwaukee has an auger and all this stuff. The K drills are just so great. The drill power, you get a low gear drill. It's fantastic. And then that battery dies, you just bring another 20 volt, 12 volt, whatever you've got battery, you slap that on there, and you're ready to go again. You don't have to worry about those big, huge Ion batteries that, in my opinion, only really last a year or two, and then they kind of go to crap, right? So that's pretty much it, guys. Tip-ups, couple rods, light on the tackle, some bobbers, minnows, right? Big thing with ice fishing is live bait fishing, right? So make sure you're getting the right forage for kind of what you're going for, right? Fathead minnows versus crappie minnows versus northern light minnows versus sucker minnows versus golden shiners, right? I mean, all different sizes, but also even like fatheads, the crappie minnows. Fatheads are going to be a little bit bigger. But I've gone out there with fatheads and caught nothing, and my buddies caught a limit on crappie minnows, right? So you got to know what lake you're fishing and what they're eating, and do your research a little bit. But that's pretty much it, guys. That is ice fishing in a nutshell. You can get everything that I just showed here for like maybe a couple $100, right? If you're going light, you want to keep it under $100, you get a $5 bucket from Fleet Farm. You get a $25 combo right here. You get a $15 tip-up. You get a couple packs of jigs, a couple packs of those silkies. No, I will not shut up about them. They are fantastic, and I promise you, you will catch fish, all right? Side note, last little thing. Vexilar, Live Scope, what Garmin, Humminbird, whatever you've got, 100% changes the game. But again, you can keep it simple. If you're doing that, if you're not just wanting to go out there blind, get an old used Vexilar for $150, $200 off of Facebook Marketplace or eBay, whatever. and you will do just fine. I think the live scope and all that is cool. It's fun. I've used it ice fishing. But you really just need a flasher. That's it. So don't feel like you need a graph and a map and all this stuff. You can get FishBrain or Omnia Fishing or just look at DNR surveys of lakes, and sometimes online you can just find the depth contours of the maps of the lakes online. You can buy, if you're super old-fashioned, you can buy one of the books at Fleet Farm of the lakes in the region of your state that you're fishing and flip through and find where you are and say, okay, there's that point, I'm right here, it should be about 20 feet. It's really all you need to do. Ice fishing, keep it simple, guys. Go out there, catch some fish, eat some fish because they are delicious, and we'll see you guys next week.